I want to turn now to my home state of New Jersey. The Trump campaign now suing the state over the governor's plans to send ballots to all 6.2 million registered voters. The governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, joins us now. He is also the co-chair of this week's Democratic National Convention. Governor, the president's campaign calls what you are doing a brazen power grab. What do you explain? What do you say to that?
Stephanie, it's good to be with you in the Garden State. I won't comment on the specifics of the lawsuit because it's a legal matter, but let me just give you a couple of framing thoughts, if I may. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We view our job to balance both public health on the one hand and the sacred right to vote, which is at the center of our democracy, on the other. And that's the balance we're trying to strike. Probably more importantly, vote by mail is not new in New Jersey or in most places in America. The president has voted by mail. I've voted by mail. We just had a very successful hybrid primary in early July where we gave folks the option to vote by mail or vote in person. We're proposing the same model for November with some tweaks that make it even stronger. For instance, if you don't feel good about the Postal Service, you can drop your ballot off at what will be hundreds of secure boxes around the state. You can hand your ballot in to a poll worker on election day, or you could put it in the mail, or you can show up and vote in person. We want to expand democracy. It doesn't favor one side or the other. We think this hybrid model makes sense, and we've got evidence and experience to prove that.
It's not new, but when it comes to New Jersey, the president constantly points to an election that took place back in May in Paterson, New Jersey. Watch this.
Take a look at Paterson, New Jersey. Take a look at many things. It's all over newspapers what's going on with the mail-in ballots. Paterson, New Jersey, they had a massive amount of voter fraud, and it's been a disaster.
Paterson, New Jersey, disaster. Virginia, disaster. It's a disaster what's going on. They can't count the ballots. They don't know where the ballots are being sent.
Disaster. However, the president leaves out a really important point. The people who potentially committed this voter fraud, they're in a huge amount of trouble. So doesn't that sort of prove that you're doing the right thing?
Listen, I am in violent agreement with you, Stephanie. I've spoken publicly about this. I've spoken to the president privately. First of all, this was a local election. So this was not part of that primary I mentioned a minute ago where we had a lot of success. Secondly, I view it the same way you do. I view it as a positive fact. Some folks try to screw with the system. They got caught. They've been indicted. They're innocent until proven guilty. But if they are convicted, they'll pay a huge price for that. That's the way the system should work. And it did work in that case.
What is your message to voters, the 6.2 million people from New Jersey who are going potentially to be sent their ballots? How can they know that those ballots are going to be counted?
I have a high degree of confidence they're going to be counted, Stephanie. I spoke yesterday, and not for the first time, with the chief logistics and operating officer of the Postal Service, Dave Williams, and a couple of his senior colleagues. It was a non-political, non-emotional, nothing but the facts. This is what we're doing. This is what we need. He raised a suggestion for me, which we're running down on our end. We've extended, Stephanie, not only did I mention you could drop it off in a secure box or hand it to a poll worker on election day, we've also in the primary, and we'll do so again in the general election, your ballot needs to be postmarked by November 3rd, but it used to be would only give you 48 hours for that ballot to arrive. We've extended that to 7 days. Under the theory that there may be a significant amount of activity.
But, sir,
the last thing I want to say about this is that the Postal Service doesn't just do vote by mail. Let's have a robust, well-funded U.S. Postal Service that's there for seniors, rural communities, small business, veterans, etc. This isn't just vote by mail.
But, sir, you're suing the Postal Service over these delays. Is it the right move to push mail-in voting when you're obviously not feeling confident that the Postal Service is getting it done under this Postmaster General?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we don't think they're going to get it done. We've been very tough on them, and our primary actually turned out to be quite a success. Remember, we're giving folks a number of options. Flexibility is a word I want folks to remember here. So even if you vote by mail, you can either post it, drop it, hand it, or alternatively show up on election day. We're asking each of our counties to have at least 50% capacity, each community to have at least one polling location open. There's lots of ways to vote, and we have a high degree of confidence that this will work. And again, it's based not on speculation, it's based on real experience that we've had last month.
Before you go, I've got to ask you, last night at the convention, we heard former President Obama warn that voting for President Trump could mean the end of our democracy. Put on an old hat of yours. You're a former bank executive, a former partner at Goldman Sachs. How is it that we see so many super wealthy people hear what President Obama said, know that President Trump and all that he's doing could be a threat to our democracy, and yet they silently forgive him for what he's doing because the stock market's doing so well?
Listen, I don't know that I've got any unique perspective through the lens of the banking industry or the very wealthy in this country, but I will say this. I think this week has shown that the reach of the Democratic Party, the span of the party, has never been bigger or larger. President Obama last night, I thought, just was extraordinary. A vice presidential nominee, Kamala Harris, likewise. We've shown, I think, this week as a party that we are reaching to all corners of this country, regardless, frankly, of economic circumstances. And I think it's been so far a huge and extraordinary week for our party, and I think for the country. And it's a great launching pad into the fall.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.